Hello and welcome to the Long Island weather update. And it's 10 o'clock, December 8th, and one more day before we deal with this messy storm that we're going to be dealing with. Messy may not be the right word. It's going to be a pretty bad storm. You'll see today we had a lot of high clouds around today. Not really a great looking sky today, though we did have sunshine. The only pictures I took were toward the sunset. We had some altocumulus clouds come in. This was at Southern Lake and bucolic Babylon, and you could see some pretty clouds there at sunset, some altocumulus there, but other than that, it was a lot of cirrus and contrails around, jet smog throughout much of the day today. This doesn't really show the day, this satellite image here. We'll have to use this satellite image to show the day, and we'll use the MODIS instead, so you can see here, and this is the storm that is going to be hitting us. You can see the elements here for it. You can see all the cirrus that we were dealing with today. You can actually see, look at all those contrails. It's disgusting, absolutely disgusting sky today. But of course, if you were in Flagstaff, you had a nice clear sky in Arizona, but you also had a nice clear sky if you were in Maine, and even parts of Massachusetts, you had a nice clear sky. It was like beautiful in Maine today. It was like by Bar Harbor, Maine, which is actually not too far from Arcadia. It was 25 degrees and sunny today. The nice clear sky, had a little snow on the ground, and I'm sure it looked beautiful at Arcadia National Park. And if you haven't been to Arcadia National Park, well, I'll put it up here for you. That should be the first thing that comes up, but it isn't. You gotta love Google. They picked the bank instead, but Arcadia National Park is beautiful, and yes, there are pitch pines here as well, so if you know where to look, there are actually pitch pines if they have a picture of it. Here you go. You'll see some pitch pines here, so there are pitch pines. Here's another look at them. There's pitch pines at the top of the mountain, so it's pretty amazing. So, yeah, that's where, if I could have been anywhere today, I probably would have been there. But anyway, you can see here, there's low pressure here. You can see a warm front that's like sort of moved through, I guess they have. And then this is the chain of low pressure systems that we have to deal with that we're going to be heading into the weekend. And we've got a lot of warnings already up, watches and warnings up. Where have a high wind watch, as well as a flood watch, also in effect for this storm that we're going to have. So first, let's get our conditions with today over with that we had our almanac today. Islip, high of 48. That was 2 degrees above normal. Low of 27, which was 5 degrees below normal. Puts us about 1 degree below normal, so near average today. Central Park, however, because Central Park did not have that radiational cooling, they actually managed to make it up to 51, which is 5 degrees above normal for the high, and 4 degrees above normal for the day. And I'm sure New Jersey, even warmer. Yeah. So now that we got that over with, we'll go to our weather map here, and you'll see here on your weather and hazards map that we got the flood watch encompassing the whole Northeast, and high wind watches in effect for Maine as well as much of the coast, the Cape, and then elsewhere you have these flood watches in effect, and then the interior areas winter storm watches. So this storm is going to be, it's going to suck. So looking at your temperatures right now in the area, we've got mid-40s across the area. Wow, though, looks like some radiational cooling going on in New Jersey. 30 degrees at Miller Air Park in the Pine Barrens west of Toms River. That's interesting. So they're getting the radiational cooling, but West Hampton is not, with 46 degrees. So looking at our highs on the map, you'll see highs were in the upper 40s across Long Island, and then 50s, mid-50s if you were in Toms River. Wow, you got up into the mid-50s today, so what a range, mid-50s to 30 at night. Looking at the lows, look at that. This morning they got down to 23 in the Pine Barrens west of Toms River. So going from 23 to 55, wow, that's quite desert-like. West Hampton was even colder, though, 21 degrees for a low at West Hampton. And we had upper 20s in a lot of areas. Yeah, last night got pretty chilly with the radiational cooling we were able to get. But, of course, if you were in Maine, oh, boy, you had a great day in Maine. Like I said, Bar Harbor, really, look at that, 9 degrees at Winkesell Airport. and your high was only, what was your high there? Yeah. Actually, no, they got into the 30s today. Okay. So they got in the mid 30s. I thought it was mid 20s, but still, that's very nice. Flagstaff will have a similar day tomorrow, which would be another nice place to be tomorrow, but I'm not going to be there. So right now there it's 18 degrees, but yeah, Maine is a nice place, though. A little hard to get to around that place without a car. Not exactly transit friendly. But anyway, I'm kind of going off the topic. I just miss being in the pines, all right? So you're looking at Long Island, you got the high wind watch in effect and the flood watch. And the flood watch is not in effect for Easton, just the high wind watch, but the rest of Long Island, it has a flood watch. So let's go to the overview with the storms now. And we already overviewed this, but let's see if they've upped the winds a little bit on here. So strong to damaging winds, 45 to 55 miles per hour along the coast Sunday evening and night. The heavy rain, 2.5 to locally 3 inches, with much of that rain. So most of this is what we went through overnight last night. The peak wind gusts, they have upped them now to like into the 50s. Storm total rainfall also has been raised as well. Yeah, let's get to it. Let's talk about it. Let's go to the models now, and we'll look at this storm that we have to deal with here. So I'm going to move this to the eastern U.S. view. Looking at the GFS here, now we have some more of the short-range models in, so that will help. And you see the rain starts Sunday afternoon now they have it. So the storm is it's going to last longer now. But it also has a low forming along the front. That low forming along the front might actually help to actually keep the winds down a little bit. And that's going to mean more rain for us. And then the rain is going to linger into Monday morning and then finally end with nicer weather Monday into Tuesday. But we got a lot of storm and a lot of rain to get through before that happens. So now we have some more short-range models in effect, short-range models that are going to show us the storm. So let's first look at the HRRR first of all. Nothing really going on tomorrow, but here comes the rain. The rain breaks out Sunday morning a little bit, and that's the thing now. We're going to have the rain around for a good part of Sunday. You're going to have a steady rain, wind-driven. Though you notice the isobars don't seem quite as close together, and that's because of that low pressure forming. So this is only going to take us out to 0Z, this model, all right? But you'll see that the rain is already going to start, all right? And that will give us already, as far as of 0Z, which is 7 p.m. Sunday. Sorry, I'm just a little tired, and I've got a lot going on in my life, so I do apologize. But total accumulated precipitation here, you can see here, not really that much as of 7 p.m. on the HRRR. But we will go over the HRRR and show you the air mass changes that we will be having as we head into tomorrow. So, light southerly winds tonight. Dew points stay in the 30s tomorrow. That's when we're going to see those dew points rise a little bit. I think it brings like some waves of more moist air in there, and there's still some drier air inland that'll be battling. So tomorrow won't feel too humid. But with that southerly wind, it will bring in the warmth, especially if you're in Jersey. Then we start seeing Sundays when we start seeing that humidity increase and dew points to the 50s again. That's as far as we've got on this model to take us into the temperatures and the dew points. But you'll see here the lows tonight. We'll probably get into the 30s, though. Again, 20s possible in the Pine Barrens. Tomorrow will probably be a little warmer than today, perhaps. Temperatures in the 50s, perhaps. I think Long Island may have a better chance of breaking 50 tomorrow. And if you're in Jersey and the city, you may actually have mid to upper 50s, maybe even a 60-degree reading. And won't be dropping off too much tomorrow night. Probably mid to upper 40s will do it. And then Sunday, that's when I think you have a good bet. If you're in Jersey, you're getting, even though we're going to have clouds and showers, good bet at breaking 60 degrees on Long Island. We could get close to 60 degrees. You get an idea of the kind of air mass that we have. So if I want to move this along to the GFS, which goes a little further out here with the temperatures, you'll see the kind of warmth. GFS is even pushing perhaps even a 70-degree reading possible in Jersey. And then this front moves through overnight, and you see the change there in the air mass there. And the temperatures drop relatively quickly as we get into Monday and Tuesday, 40s, and seasonal temperatures for Monday and Tuesday. But let's look at these dew points again. So here are your dew points, and you'll see, again, that moist air. But you see that sharp the really moist air, and then that sharp change that'll happen by later Monday. So let's look at the GFS because that's again we're still using some of these longer range models because the shorter range don't always go in here. But you see the tight isobars, but you see it doesn't look quite as tight as it was. And then there's a low that forms right along the front that might actually save us from the worst of the winds. That low, though it will enhance the rainfall. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive to say that, but that low eases the pressure gradient a little bit and kind of just causes this front to be a little less tight. So it might help us in the wind department. We'll have to see. I've got to look at a whole bunch of stuff here to see if that's actually going to verify. But looking at your, let's go 850 height and wind, all right, because this kind of shows us the winds here. So you can see it still looks pretty bad. This is 850, so the winds are still pretty high. But you'll notice that it's a little quicker now, and it actually moves the worst winds off by after midnight. So that's not too bad. So it seems like the period of wind may not be as long. This is 850 we're looking at, all right? I'm going to go to the surface now on this. So this is the surface here. It doesn't look as bad. It actually gets worse as it moves further east. So we may be spared the worst of this. It's looking better than it did yesterday, that's for sure, as far as the wind goes. But the rain, on the other hand, if we go to total accumulated precip, that low is going to enhance the rain. So we could see, instead of getting maybe around 2 inches, I wouldn't even be surprised if some areas get 3 inches. We may be doing 2 to 3 inches and maybe even more than that. And you can see all the rain that's going to fall also in Maine. So this is the whole east. So while Maine had a nice, cold, dry day today, with snow on the ground, that snow is going to be washed away by all that rain, unfortunately. So that's what it looks like on the GFS now. We're going to go to some more models here. Let's go to the NAM 12. This is the NAM 12, all right? So the NAM 12, you'll see the rain starts again Sunday. I think that's going to be an earlier start Sunday, probably noon, Sunday afternoon, and then it's going to last. The NAM is definitely going to have that rain last through Monday morning. NAM's a little slower, and that means more wind. The NAM's also in a different position with the low, so this would definitely be worse with the wind. So like I said, we got to look at all the models here because the models still have different ideas here. And the NAM takes that low a little more to the west as more of a pressure gradient and has a real heavy batch of rain there coming across Suffolk County in the morning around 7 o'clock. Total accumulated precipitation on the NAM looks similar to the GFS. Seems to have a heavier stripe right over the mountains there. And again, this is the NAM 12 that we're looking at here. All right. We'll go ahead and look at the wind on the NAM, which is way, way worse than the GFS. So if the GFS is right, we get spared. And if the NAM is correct, we are going to still be dealing with, again, these are 850 height winds, but very powerful winds aloft, as you can see. And it gets worse as it moves over Suffolk County. So again, Monday morning, the NAM is still looking like it did. The NAM is pretty insistent on giving us a pretty bad wind event here. I mean, these winds aloft are over 100, perhaps as much as over 100 miles an hour. And then behind the front, you'll have winds, but not as bad. But yeah, this NAM is definitely concerning. And again, a very strong LLJ there showing up on the NAM. And now, if we look at the HRRR, go back to the HRRR, 0 is the HRRR. We only have out till here. HRRR is looking like the GFS, and actually seems to have the worst wind off to the east. So we have different opinions on the models. We have a spread in the models. They don't agree. HRRR is like the GFS. The NAM is probably like the more of the European suite of models. So let's look at the icon. We don't have enough of the 0Z icon in. I'd have to use the 18Z. Let's see what the icon looks like here. No, icon also keeps it. So the NAM is basically doing its own thing. Regardless. So the other model seems to have shifted away from a worse wind event. However, the NAM is saying not so fast. So it seems to be what we have going on with this. So the other thing, of course, we'll look at some more models and more. Let's go to the European model. Let's see what the European model is doing. Euro also. See how the worst wind is? It'll be more on the Cape. So the Euro also spares us. So most of the models are sparing us now from the worst winds. However, the NAM is not doing that. The NAM 12 is not doing that. Let's look at the NAM 3. We're going to go back to this here on the NAM 3. So here's the NAM 3. The NAM 3 actually wants to generate a little area of light rain in the afternoon tomorrow. I don't know if that's the only model that's doing that. It's almost like a warm front right there. But then, again, Sunday, we have the rain starting in the afternoon. Showery, showers, thunderstorms possible. And the NAM is, like I said, slower and stronger with this and really wallops us. This is as far as the NAM 3 goes, but as of 12Z Monday, you can see it really just wallops us there with showers and thunderstorms, and quite badly, I might add. So if we look at the total accumulated precip on the NAM, you'll see, again, those darker purples. Some areas could see 4, maybe even 5 inches of rain if the NAM were correct. Now, this is the NAM. All right, so this is just one model here. Let's go to the other model here. We have the FV3 as well, which is the GFS high-resolution model. So we'll go ahead and look at that as well. And again, it doesn't look like it has more of just an overnight soaker kind of deal into the morning. And it doesn't really have, it has that tight LLJ tightening up east of us. So right now it's only one model that seems to be continuing to want to hammer us with this LLJ. There is the RGEM as well. I could use that as well, so why not? 18Z, let's see what the 18Z RGEM does here. And the RGEM, it seems like the RGEM also tightens it up to our east. So, I have the RGEM up. We'll look at the skies. Obviously, expect lots of high clouds tomorrow. The RGEM doesn't seem to think there'll be that many around, but it's going to probably be another really junky-looking sky tomorrow. And Sunday, obviously, we'll have the clouds. And then Monday, perhaps in the afternoon, we'll have some partly sunny skies, maybe even mostly sunny skies. But we'll talk about that more after this storm, I think. We got to focus on this storm. And because of that, the outlook, the longer video doing about the longer range, that's not going to be until Monday night, all right? Because we got to get through this storm, unless the storm doesn't look as bad. So we're looking here. This is the Event2 Sky site. So this uses the HRRR. All right, so we're going to go ahead and look at the wind gust forecast. So we're going to go move this over to Sunday here. And this is Sunday. So here's Sunday, 2 p.m., 11. It's not too bad, but it gets worse as we get into the evening. Here we go. So it starts picking up as we get toward 8 o'clock here. Oh, it shifts off to the icon. So the HRRR doesn't look all that bad at all. But then when it shifts over to the icon, you'll see that's when this is the icon has the stronger winds. But not as bad as originally predicted here. But you can see this is the icon, so it's now using a different model that's far out. Here's midnight. It has the winds possibly gusting up to 50. And they get worse as they go east. So look at 60. So again, this is the icon. This might even be an earlier icon run. So this isn't the HRRR run. It's not. The storm itself is still outside of the many of the short-range models, and a lot of them, particularly the HRRR, which is kind of important. But you'll see those strong winds there. And again, it's that LLJ that we have here. I'm going to shift this off to the GFS because you'll see the difference here that the GFS is showing. So I'm going to move this back to the GFS, which I'd rather use at this point. So here's the GFS, and you can see it's got the strong winds, but the GFS is faster. I think that's the difference is the timing. It's faster, and the faster it is the less likely we're going to have the worst of the winds. So here you go. Winds gusting to 50 miles an hour, 10 o'clock. You can see it's already kind of moving away with the worst of the winds over the east end. But however, let's change this now. Let's go to wind speed. This is sustained wind speed, and we're going to go above the ground now to 500 meters. This is where things get a little scary. So 500 meters, you'll notice there's some pretty strong winds aloft at 1 o'clock, 61 miles an hour. All right, 4 o'clock, they kind of strengthen a little more. 7 o'clock, here you go. That's that LLJ, 70, close to 70 miles an hour. 10 o'clock, strengthen some more. All right, so this is 850. All right, so there's only 500 meters up. Let's take it up to. Let's take it up to. I'm sorry, that's 950. Let's take it up to 1,000 meters. All right. So you can see where this LLJ is. So it's close to 70. It's not as bad as it was on this model. You'll see that GFS isn't as bad as it was. These are still, any thunderstorm could have the potential to produce these wind gusts. It could bring them down to the surface. All right. This is the GFS now. You want to be scared? Let's go over to the NAM. Do we have the NAM? Does this do the NAM? Might not do the NAM. Hold on. I can't even move the models now. I don't know why. Hold on. I gotta get this out of the way. It doesn't want to do it. It seems like it only has the GFS and GEM. This doesn't make an ounce of sense here. Let's see what's going on. All right, here we go. So apparently it didn't have that level. All right. Does not have the NAM listed here. So we don't have the NAM. So let's go to the windy site. Actually, I want to go back to tidbits for a minute. So I'll just show you where this moisture is coming from. All right, that's not going to take us back to tidbits. Let's just do it this way. Sorry, I'm sloppy. I'm doing my best. So I just want to use this again, the 700 to 300, just to show you, again, the atmospheric river that's going to set up. So you see, there it is, that feed right from the Gulf and the tropics. And then the dry air comes in behind it. All right. So let's go to windy.com. And we'll go ahead and use this site because they have more choices with the models to use with winds. All right. So let's go to Sunday. All right, this is the European now, all right, that we're looking at. All right, so this is the European that we're looking at. We'll first look at wind gusts on this European model here. 41, that's not as bad as it could have been, but let's move it up to, all right, here we go. Now it's a little stronger, 51 miles an hour at 11 p.m. So this is the European, all right. You can see how it gets worse as it moves off to the east, all right. However, the other thing, of course, this will show also is waves, so... Yeah, so obviously this is going to kick up the ocean, though not as bad as, well, it's still pretty bad. So that's why we're going to have to watch for coastal flooding as well with this as well. This is going to be a really strong southerly LLJ. However, let's go to the NAM. So I'm going to move this back over to wind, and this gives us the NAM. So that's what's good about this. So if I use the NAM and wind gust, you'll see. All right, this only goes out so far. But the NAM is certainly worse. But let's go to the wind gusts at the aloft. Let's go to aloft. Let's move this up to. Let's go to 1,000 meters here. Let's go to 2,000 feet. This will be good. It kind of shows you what's going on. So this is 2,000 feet. You can see these winds are pretty strong. And again, this only goes out to 5 p.m. So it's not going to take us all the way out. So we still don't have enough models to really safely sure how bad the wind is going to be. We might get, I think we're still going to get bad winds, but, it depends on, it could either be gusts to 50 miles an hour or gusts to 70 miles an hour. And just don't know. There's a big difference in the kind of damage that a 50 mile an hour wind could produce versus a 70 mile an hour wind. So we still don't have all the fine details on this storm yet. But I think a high wind watch and a flood watch, which is what the Weather Service has for us, is definitely something that is needed, and we will see what winds up happening tomorrow. We'll have a much better idea tomorrow night, and I'll be able to really nail down, I think, just how bad these winds are. Still, I'm not sure yet. I wish I could say I was sure, but the potential is certainly there to see some significant wind issues and lots of power outages. However, again, a lot of the models seem to think that the worst we may be spared the worst. So, but it's not really. It's just too early to say for sure what's going to happen. All right. And again, this is the European model. All right. We're going back to the European here, and you'll see here again. This is 10 p.m. You'll see this is aloft. This is not at the surface. All right. But you'll see those strong winds aloft. But by 5 a.m., you can see they kind of shift off to the east. But you see, it's not moving that quick. So it's going to be a slow mover, and that's the issue also. So go to back to the surface here and look at winds on the Euro. These are just winds at the surface. You see some Suffolk County. Looks like the further east you go, the worse the wind is going to be. The further west you are, the less worse it's going to be. So Right now it's just too early to tell just how bad the wind is going to be, but the potential still exists for a damaging wind event. And more thing that I'm really more certain of is the rainfall. So I guess we'll wrap it up here with rain accumulation, and we'll go here. Rain accumulation next 3 days, which should show the storm. All right, so you can see here 2.53. You can see how bad the rain will be here. All right, we could also go to rain thunder as well, which kind of shows you, again, this is just gives you a shorter span of rainfall here. You can see how the rain gets even worse. Look at some of these amounts here. 1.2 inches in, an hour? Is that an hour? I don't know if that's a period for an hour or 3 hours. I'm not sure, but you can see how it certainly gets worse. Again, the rain accumulation. Again, this will be the total. I think this would be the total. So this would give you the total rainfall. You can see close to 3 inches now. So it has the bullseye off Connecticut, Long Island. However, that could always change. Less off to the west. So we'll have to see. But I'm more certain on the rain that we're gonna have a lot of rain, and we could get a month's worth of rain. We could get the entire amount of the December rainfall that we're supposed to get in this storm. So again, this is all part of the climate crisis. This is what we're dealing with, and of course, don't tell Wall Street because they're too busy living it up right now. So anyway, they're just completely in their own world, oblivious as they always are. So anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good night.